being recorded on the second day of Altitude 25 in Lisbon, conference being organised by Amadeus. 200 or 300 or so delegates, most of the airlines are here to hear about the latest in technologies and developments. I'm joined by Meg O'Keefe. She's the Senior Vice President of Airline Solutions Product Management at Amadeus. So welcome, Meg. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
You were on stage yesterday, and I think it's right to say you gave quite a straightforward message to the audience that now's the time to get on board with some of this technology that you've been developing, in particular Nevio, which you can see behind us here. Quickly, just explain what Nevio is, what it represents to the airline industry, and then we'll get into some of the details of some of the advances.
Sure, would love to. First of all, let me just pick up that I'm the head of product management, and as such, I'm responsible for putting together the next generation portfolio of solutions for the travel industry.
Yeah.
And really what Amadeus Nevio is all about is what is the next generation environment that allows airlines to better retail in the market. And one of the things that there's three really main pillars that Nevio brings to market. The first is commercial excellence, the second is traveller experience excellence, and the third is technology and transition excellence. But what is retailing about? It's that airlines today, through the systems they have, are somewhat constrained to be able to unlock new value that it's prohibited by the systems, the processes, and just the way things have developed over the years. So Nevio is about doing a ground-up transformation, reconfiguring all of the systems towards an environment that's very much open, that's flexible, and that brings airlines the ability to decide how they want to sell their products in the marketplace.
Yeah. So people who know the Amadeus portfolio of products well, they'll know that Altair is the old, what we now consider to be old, legacy PSS system. Many
Existing,
yeah. Well, many airlines are on, and actually it's the foundation of how they operate. Without that, they can't operate. So a lot of airlines are still on the PSS, but the vision is that things shift over to this new form. And actually, I think earlier they said Amadeus is now spending more on developing Nevio than they are proportionally than Altair, which is probably a significant milestone and obviously an indication of the direction of travel for Amadeus.
Yeah, well, we've been talking, let's say the industry's been talking about transformation for some time, and obviously at the very beginning of that we have the COVID effect. What COVID did, of course, was actually accelerate the need to do the transformation as we all moved much more digital, and realised that this industry really was facing some bottlenecks in being able to address new business opportunities, but also fundamentally adapt to change. So when it comes to our portfolio, we do have a fairly sophisticated PSS called Altair. It does deliver retailing potential already, and we are still able to enhance it. Yeah. But really it's much more about we need to do a base shift level change to be able to unlock new value coming forward.
And yesterday you put a figure on this new value, so it was plus 35%. Okay, so explain what that
well, yesterday what I was saying is that with Altair, for example, you can get a certain amount of retailing value potential, and you can stretch it a little bit further, but still within the framework of today. Then if you cross a big divide somehow, you really need to move towards the offer order transformation and the new types of partner collaboration, which is called retailer supplier, to be able to unlock that next big block. Yeah. And the value increment of that versus what you can naturally get from a stretch of the current environment is around about an additional 35%. Yeah. And I put a percentage on it to try and give the order of magnitude of what potential sits behind. And the potential that sits behind that was sort of try and wrap up into probably three main pieces, really. The first is bottom line cost savings through cost efficiencies, which is a really big and important part of the transformation, because we're trying to simplify through automation and flexibility, single sources of information. At the same time, a large part, especially with offer and order, a large part of the value is going to come through new revenue generation. Yeah. So that's a key part of that plus 35 as well. And I'll get into if you want a little bit into.
Yeah, I think you said
what's behind it.
30% of that 35 would be cost savings.
And
70% is that additional retail.
So shall I tell you a little bit about how I come up with it? Yeah. So obviously because we were on stage yesterday and we get 15 minutes, so you've got to be fairly succinct. Yep. But what's behind that is actually quite a detailed bottom-up level assessment. And we go through the different types of levers that are sitting behind the cost efficiencies. And for example, behind that 30%, you have things like simplification of systems and processes. You have the sorts of elimination of tools that now need to do synchronization, accuracy checks, making sure that the systems are able to easily connect intra-system-wise.
Yeah.
So anything to do with flexibility, automation, and simplification largely gets into the cost efficiencies. Another thing that's part of Nevio is really very much that it's an open modular system, and the idea is that it's going to be much easier to integrate with. So the speed of integration, the ability to use reuse common modules and common assets is also something that time to market ability is going to come into that cost efficiency.
Yeah.
Then on the revenue side, and in particular for offer and order, really it's around things like how do you bring new products to market, so selling more. There was an element of selling more in an optimal way, which is around how do we put new data-driven science actually into the offer creation process, which is not just about flights now, but rather about the overall commercial product proposition that's going into the market.
Yeah.
So there's an optimization, so a yield uplift side, there's new products, so a range of new products, there's selling it everywhere in a consistent way. So there's an omni-channel element of it. There is as well partners, so being able to better sell not just airline partners, but other content partners.
The non-air product is
Exactly, and they can be airport products, they could be, let's say, the ones people are used to, but doing it better, like cars, hotels, insurance, all of those obvious ones, if I might say. But there's also things like on-trip experiences, like, I don't know, e-visas, e-sims.
Yeah. I suppose today it's what we've seen in aviation is a debundling of what was a seat.
Yes.
You had everything included,
Flying.
and then you take it down to the bare bones, then you add everything on again. So that's how sort of this has been evolving so far. But actually what we're seeing here is maybe it's not necessarily great for a customer because you feel as like you're being asked to pay for something that previously you would have not had to pay extra for, or potentially. But this is more of a kind of let's try and bring in new product and actually personalize it and make it more relevant to every customer, so they feel they're getting the value out of it.
Well, I think it will be good for the customer if it's executed well, and that's because moving into modern retailing, the whole idea is to be traveller-centric by nature, and that's something that the current systems can't do easily. It's very much an add-on, a bit of an afterthought. Here, it'd be saying, what is the right thing for you? Firstly, identify who they are. What is the right thing for them? Where are they physically interacting from? Which device, which channel, at what moment? What's the context of their requests and their current bookings or things like this? And actually serve them back what they expect to have, what they need, what they like. Modify and optimize from a yield perspective.
And be reactive if, I think we talked about service disruption as well, be reactive when things like that happen.
Exactly. So there's one which is to pitch the right product. There's something else which is to be able to make it easy to book, to service, to make sure that it's delivered, and when it's delivered in entirety, and follow up afterwards.
Yeah. You talked yesterday about how every airline's different. They're all different. They're all starting from a different point of view. They've all got a different path forwards. It's not all the same. So is this transformation then? It's horses for courses. You have to do it how you have to do it as an airline. There's not just one way of going from A to B.
There's not one way, but there's probably a couple of, lessons or paths that could be set forward just to make things a little bit easier. There isn't one way, and what I was saying yesterday when we were talking about this plus 35 of offer and order transformation, actually I'll just put a pin in that for a second, because when I was talking yesterday, I was talking about the offer order and the beginning of retailer supply.
Yeah.
Very much the pitching of products and new propositions, and also the servicing of them. There was a second part of the transformation, really, which is the transformation of the delivery and the settlement part, which brings more on top. We didn't get into that yesterday.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the 35. So what I was saying is that there's this, let's say you're starting with a fairly baseline level of capability, then by moving to offer and order, you get this plus 35. And what we're getting at is, this will very much depend on where the airline is, like what's their strategy, how, do they have a simple network or a sophisticated network?
Yeah.
For example, if they're a simple network and they have the ability to enrich their network reach and bring new partners on, then there'll be a certain value behind that. If they're already extremely sophisticated in their network reach, then probably the gain they'll get is through efficiency of how to interact with those different partners and increasing the range of products.
Yep.
Or increasing the amount of penetration in different channels, for example. So the airline strategy, their context, and also probably their appetite. Are they willing to go step by step through stage-gated type approach of transition? So I'll try this, I'll see how it goes, I'll make sure that I get the return on investment and then take the next step.
Yeah.
Or are they all in?
Yeah.
That will vary. The starting state, how are they financially? How are they from a personnel point of view? Are they visionary? Are they ready to follow? I mean, it depends on these sorts of things. Then on the path, it sometimes depends on is the airline in a burning platform situation? They have a real issue they fundamentally need to address now. That could also dictate in which order things happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, really, there's a lot of factors, including their ecosystem they're operating in. Are they part of an alliance?
Yeah.
And what sort of, have they just, where is their digital touch point strategy? Are they ready to launch a new one, or have they just transformed themselves?
Yeah.
All of these factors play a role in how to quantify.
Yeah. It feels like there's definitely, there's dates being put in, in the public now to say this is when we're going to move by. I think BA put a few milestones out there. Finnair's been doing that for a while. The two of your existing partners in Finnair, you brought on Air France and KLM this week. So momentum is definitely building on this. And then when they put dates in it, especially with a tech transition, it's quite a bold thing to do. But that must reflect people's confidence that this is actually now going to happen. And
I think
they're
so.
on the road. We're on the road.
Yeah, and we've been confident for some time. We've been in program mode for a couple of years now. One of the things about doing a ground-up transformation as opposed to somehow a paintbrush approach to it is that you have to build out the foundations. This is fundamentally a grassroots type change. Yeah. So that requires some absolute, clear investment. It means putting teams in place, putting the process in place, working with our airlines who are engaging with us. There's quite a bit that goes into that, and we're pretty confident to the point which is we're well out of pure vision and very much into action. We're building. We've already built quite a lot and put it into market, and we're continuing to build and deploy. Yeah,
and what's been good about the last 2 days, you've got lots of airlines on stage talking about their experiences, not just you guys saying what you think.
Peddling our wares.
But which is fair enough, that happens, but you're getting actual people saying this is what we experience, this is what we're doing. And so that's what we should look at, I guess, for proof of the pudding, is what's happening with Finnair, what's happening with BA. They're now telling us what we should expect to see happen. And we will see some transformations happening in real time now.
Right, and Amadeus is an IT partner, and we're an IT provider of great solutions. That's products, that's services, the full remit, and we're doing that through the creation platform as well. But at the end of the day, we're trying to meet a business need, and that business need will be determined by those airlines that have given their confidence to us, that we need to honour and make sure that we can get that capability to the market, because they're not doing it because they want to play with new technology. They're doing it because they have a business need, which is to forge ahead or to correct or a little bit of everything, and also because they know with something brand new, they're going to see new things. They're going to develop or identify opportunity on the way. Yeah,
there's always a cost to this sort of thing, and you mentioned reference that where airlines are in terms of their commercials, and they're not long since been in COVID, so not most airlines suffered greatly in that time. However, I think Kenyan Airways were on stage earlier saying that they came out of COVID with not very much to spend, but they still were able to do many good things with you guys because they needed to, and realised during COVID that was going to be a prerequisite. So, is it about how much money you've got, or it's clearly going to be a factor, but is it the be all and end all?
No, I think it's about motivation. I think we're well past the moment of should there be a transformation. We're very much there's going to be one, so it's about what and when.
Yeah.
Clearly, we have different airlines and different airline partners that we're working with that have I don't know, the volition to go forward, to step forward. And that can be courage, it can be also investment power, and it can just be, they have a very committed idea of how the industry should change.
Yeah.
So yes, for Amadeus, because we are investing, we have to invest. And you mentioned it's the pivot point of 25 where we start to spend more on the new.
Yeah, I think it requires you investing in your own technologies, not just the airlines doing it themselves.
Yeah.
I get the sense maybe that we talked about channels earlier and indirect versus direct, and that's often been quite a sort of fractious argument.
Yeah.
But I get the sense maybe there's a sense from airlines now that the modern technologies, and I think about potentially in payments as well as distribution, with these kind of technologies, it allows them to work more in step with partnerships, and there's a kind of, maybe the technology allows those partnerships to flourish better. And I get the sense there's more determination to work with third parties around. I mean, NDC has been sort of help with that. Maybe we had CWT on stage yesterday as well. So do you sense
I think
that's happening?
I think there's a couple of different factors at play here. What we're really trying to do is not just change what's under the hood, but achieve exactly the same thing. You know, so it's not just the pipes underneath that are going to be changing. It's going to be a bit of a different thing, and it's a different way of thinking about. I don't know what roles the different players in the industry take. Do they still need to play those roles? Is there different sorts of things do they want to get rid of some things? Do they want to branch out into different spaces? So I think when we talk about the changing dynamic in the indirect space, really what we saw on stage yesterday is the opportunity to connect much better. So that they're not two mutually exclusive somehow pillars, but rather they can collaborate much better together. And we heard that from Carl from CWT, but we also heard it from Google around, well, if we are moving to a world of dynamic offers into the marketplace, and dynamic offers get pushed into the indirect channels through travel sellers that are used to dealing in needing to be able to respond to large amounts of volume in very, very fast times, then we better find that way that the cleverness of what the airline proposition is able to translate into an environment that allows it to be served back to travellers.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing a lot more interest in an open conversation and real collaboration around what could be the way that we achieve it, which is a bit more win-win, by the way.
I suppose if you said customer centricity, which is what this is meant to be all about.
Yeah.
If all the stakeholders are actually genuinely customer centric, because the customer doesn't care if there's something behind the scenes that means I can't do this without, they don't have to care, and they shouldn't have to care about that, really. They just want to feel that they want to do what they need to do. So if everybody, and this is the airports, it's the regulators potentially, but it's the airlines, obviously, they're all customer centric. This should work together, and the customer.
I think there's a role for everybody, but it does require a reconsideration. It does require a bit of a refresh of thinking. What is it that remembering what you're there for, not what you've always done.
Yeah.
So we're seeing those conversations to come to fruition a lot more. It's happening a lot on the travel seller side. I think by having NDC transformation happen, which was kind of a technology-driven transformation before it became an adoption point, I think we've actually probably forced a lesson learned on this part of the journey.
The big question with all this is not it's now not if it's happening, it's when. So there's always the question of how quick can this happen? I mean, airline industry, I think it was referenced, isn't famous for going quick on things, and there can be a lot of frustrations around that. But actually, maybe in this area, there's a degree of they can go a bit quicker in this area. This isn't operations, it's not engineering, it's not the safety critical stuff. It's
I think we've got to get it up to market first. I think the very first thing is put it on the market, prove it's delivering what it's supposed to do, get the comfort that it can be rolled out quickly and easily, and that will come through, I'll say, trial and error, or at least attempts, right? And that's the trust as well, and the commitment that our launch customers that we have are giving us is like they're ready to try, and that's what we heard from Saudia this morning. It was like, we don't know everything, but let's start, let's get going, and let's have the confidence by doing. Exactly. So I do think so. Yeah, I think we'll have to get the return on experience, and we'll have to feed that back into our systems too, because I'm sure there's things that everyone's thinking we should do now that we probably need to recalibrate as we go.
Yeah. Time's nearly up, and time's nearly up for the whole event. We're leaving Lisbon tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe in 2 years' time we'll be reconvening. It tends to happen every 2 years. This kind of event. We don't know where it's going to be yet, but somewhere, and no doubt, aviation specific, somewhere probably Middle East or Europe, I'm sure. What do you think we'll be talking about in 2 years' time? Do you think a lot will have changed?
Yeah, it will. It will, because
it will?
remember yesterday what I was trying to outline was, there's quite a few things that we've already brought into production. But I think what we'll see, if we're plus 2 years from now, we're going to see that there's real tangible value-added use cases on the market in production. We'll be able to see that airlines are able to bring brand new products to market that's not physically possible today in the legacy environment, and that they are going to be sold across a complete itinerary that's made up of all sorts of different partners. We're going to see that it's sold, that offers are put forward, that they are going to be optimized, they're going to be ordered, they're going to be serviced and delivered. And it will be in production, and we'll start to see the first tests of how much it's bringing back.
Yeah.
So we can cross-check the plus 35 that I was
See if you're
proposing yesterday.
Okay.
Say, is it more? Is it less? And what is?
Hold you to that.
I was very aware when standing up presenting it, and I actually am very comfortable with the challenge.
Yeah.
That's my job. I'm good with that.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that we didn't get into this, but the service and delivery side of thing, which is going to come, is obviously crucial. I think it was said that Amazon. Why is Amazon famous? Not because you retail.
Because you make it happen at the end.
Yeah, because the package arrives on time and the track is and all that stuff. So that's a whole different discussion, but another massive challenge for this industry.
I think in 2 years from now, Lee, we'll be talking about the adoption in the indirect channel and the change of roles, responsibilities, and behaviours, probably. The value on the market that people are seeing in reality, and whatever the new opportunity or the new challenge is that's happened, or let's say materialised along the way.
Yeah.
But we'll be there to respond, and it'll be great.
We'll see. 2 years' time it is.
Yes.
Okay, Meg, thanks for that. Thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us then. And thanks for hosting this great event. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Bye.